So we are going to proceed with our presentation tonight. A full guideline of the presentation can be obtained from your learning portal. Please go and download it from Learner Resource. Okay, it is available. If you cannot find it, request for this presentation. It will be forwarded on to you or to your email, or it will be sent via the WhatsApp, messenger. So please do request for this. Tonight we are going to look at the communication theoretical approach. Okay. Tonight, we are going to look at the communicative function. Remember, we've been talking so much on communication as a facilitator. One of the key concepts that there's no way a facilitator, someone who wants to engage with others, he is not able to share knowledge and resource. You must be able to communicate. But of course, communication has got key components and elements or principles that needs to be followed when we are presenting or facilitating to a group. More especially, we're looking at specific aspects. Either the program that you are facilitating is a remote learning program, or it's a long distance program, or at the same time it's a face-to-face program. Face-to-face program is when you are actually interacting with the students physically. If it is off-site like this one, we are learning remotely, but at the same time, we are trying to make it easy that individuals are able to face us, though we are remote. We are in a remote learning mode. Students or you are able to actually access every content that you feel you need to have it to complete your learning program and get a better understanding. So, facilitation in the communicative functionality allows you or encourages individual facilitators to emphasize on giving out information precisely, either remotely or on site. So that's why you see when you send in communication, the most important effective way on how to communicate is when you are opened up to receive those communication. Remember, one of the key activities for a facilitator is that you need to embrace the social activity, social concept of facilitation. You must be social to everybody, to those learners that you are trying to assist. You must be open. You must not be closed off. Facilitation is embracing others' ideas. Facilitation is all about listening. So you have to open up the ears. You have to be a listener. You have to pay attention and be able to expect individuals to ask you questions and also be able to answer precisely where you have no answers. It's not like a facilitator must be a guru of everything. You're not a jack of all trades. You might know some stuff might not know. Information does change. There's no information that is static. Information keeps on changing. From today onwards, you see information will keep on changing. So also, for you to keep up with the pace, you need to be dynamic, be in form of research, be coherent with the information. Try to make more research and get information, access it anywhere you find it, as long as it's adding value to your training needs. However, the ways on how we approach in terms of facilitation is when we are opening ourselves to receive information from the students, at the same time be able to give out precise information. So our communicative function doesn't only limit you to speak when there is a class session. That is teaching. When only there is a class session, that's only you talk to your students. Then that is wrong, because students have got what is called learning off-site. Okay, one of the key principles of alignment metrics, I don't know whether we can talk about it quickly, briefly. There's what we call the rollout strategy as a facilitator that you need to know. Every facilitator needs to understand the principle of alignment metrics. The alignment metrics is when you have an entire program that is given to you, and then you start to allocate every topic with its assessment grid or criteria and the time given to it. So you will see some of those topics that you are presenting, they might not be applicable to be facilitated in class. They might be given out as research or case studies to the students. So it means students must carry that information out of class and do go apply their knowledge or apply their mind to think about it, to research more and integrate with other societies members or friends to answer or to get an understanding. The same applies to us as facilitators. There's a time when we are in class. That's when we say, if a class is for 2 days, what does 2 days comprise of? The 2 days comprise of effective facilitation in class, that is contact. At the same time, it comprises of assessment. Assessment, that is your formative assessment given out during the learning process. It is comprising of that part. So that means that even outside class, you are actually engaging in the active facilitation process. The facilitation doesn't end up until the class has been exited out of the program, but facilitation continues. Though you just need to put a timeline and a limit. When are you supposed to be engaging in facilitation or active facilitation, either passive or full facilitation? Where we say full facilitation when we are engaging in class like this, where you have questions and answers, where students ask questions, and then you also ask questions in form of activities, in form of exercises, in form of group work or role play, or whatever activity that you're going to do is under the active learning of face-to-face, right? That is active facilitation. But there is passive facilitation where you don't literally need to be in class to facilitate to someone, but one will call you or send a communication, most especially under the outcome-based facilitation like this one. Outcome-based facilitation, all NQF programs are outcome-based. So if you are here and you still think that there will be no active facilitation even outside the classroom environment, then you are lying to yourself. Because all NQF program, that whatever program you intend to facilitate, as long as it's written NQF, the National Qualification Framework policy allows individuals to learn in class and also outside of the class environment. So that it means a facilitation doesn't end up until the learners exit. Hence, you will see that every program is being given credit value. There's what we call the credit value. I'm going to teach about that or talk about it in the next slide. But the facilitation value, I mean, the credits value literally gives you the time frame that a program needs to be facilitated and exited to assessment process. You get what I'm saying? So it means you are facilitating from point A and going to point B, right? So when you reach point B, your part of facilitation and engagement it has ended. It means learners are ready for the next stage. And what is the next stage? Assessment. Unless you are doing a program that is not credit bearing and also that doesn't require individuals to undertake an assessment task, but still there is what we call monitoring and evaluation, because there's no way you can facilitate to a group and you just walk away, right? Then it will not be an effective facilitation. It will be just a meeting that you have met people and you shared views and ideas, and then everybody goes away. But in facilitation, we facilitate a skill, we facilitate knowledge, and we facilitate all the approaches and applications that people must adopt and use into their day-to-day life, right? So that they can either excel at their workplaces or they can advance into their career advancement, right? So that's what happens with active facilitation, and that involves communication. So when we talk about communicative function, it is quite broad. We're looking at so many things that we have to outline, right? Some of the things that we outline, we say like the managerial social behavior concept must be put into consideration. All right, we're gonna pause for a water break, and when we get back to the next session after 2 minutes, we're gonna unpack the approaches to facilitation. How do we approach facilitation? Welcome back to our next session. I believe we have got our water break. Those of you who managed to jump out and come back, you are welcome. Those who are joining us for the first time, you are also welcome. Remember to subscribe onto our YouTube channel. Click onto that subscription button and then also click onto the notification bell to receive any notification that we keep on submitting any new video content that we give to all our learners, our audiences, that you can be able to be familiar with whatever is happening. Any updates, you're able to receive them at first hand. Right now, we're going to proceed on to our next part of facilitation. Remember, we are still under the communicative function. A facilitator needs to be able to communicate. Now, under communicative function, it's the only way for us to move toward managing a class using the three activities of the classification of facilitation concepts. There are only three. We said it's the social, the managerial, as well as the technical, right? Now, when you look at the social and the managerial, these two integrate. For you to manage a group and learning, you need to be able to communicate effectively. That's why we call it effective communication in a facilitation session. Effective communication. And for you to communicate, it means there's gonna be series of engagement. Communication is a two-way traffic. There's no communication which is one way, whereby you find you are going to speak and read. Okay, like yesterday I said, there are individuals who are facilitating, but actually they are not facilitating, they are reading notes. We don't encourage facilitation to be that way. That's gonna be a very a stressful moment, where if I can reiterate, I can't imagine a facilitator not being able to integrate learning into the concept of allowing students to be active, whereby you must not actually be the one reading notes. You can't read notes during facilitation. So this next part allows us to understand the principles of communication within our facilitation group. How are you going to communicate? There's what we call sustainable communication. Sustainable communication is where you sustain a communication through active facilitation. Sustaining a communication involves speech, involves integration of activities, involves motivations, involves individuals, putting individuals under a sense of wanting to know more. We call it the curiosity mode. Curiosity mode, where individuals are thinking, okay, now they have to open up their inner mind to start to actively think out of the topic or a session that you are talking about, an idea or anything that you are busy facilitating on. You put it into a way of thinking out loud, so that they can activate their mode of engagement. They can be able to open up and say, okay, can I ask a question? I didn't get this, I didn't get that. So they are able to ask those questions. That engagement will only work if you are able to sustain a communication through active communication, whereby if individuals are passive, there's no morale. You find a class that is not literally engaging, right? Class is very dull. Class is very passive. Everybody is not active in a class. What do? We say we bring in what we call the motivational facilitation mode. Motivational facilitation mode, instead of you running with the topic and the content where people do not understand, bring in words of encouragement. Change the topics, change the ways, the methodologies on how you are communicating, and make it as a problem. Make facilitation or a topic to become a problem that individual will tackle it as a problem, so that they can be able to solve that problem. So throw it through as a problem. So bring in scenarios whereby perhaps you bring in a situation whereby it becomes something to think of, where facilitator have a learner has to think of that concept that you brought in and put it into their own understanding. What if it was me? How would I solve this? Okay, I'm supposed to go to a meeting or a training or a class, but I do not have money. Will I go? Will I stay at home? How will I do it? So something that they have to engage their mind to see the incense and the value of them attending. So they must provide any ways. If it's supposed to be a generic meeting, you say, okay, what if you're supposed to go to meet the president? At the same time, they have called you to go and collect money in the bank. Which one would you prefer? So they'll have to weigh options. Which one is the better options? The money, or to meet a president, or a meeting, or this. So they are weighing their options. But in doing so, you are awakening their mind. You are sparking all their minds, and they are able to think out loud. Say, okay, I think I should take up this option. That is a motivational facilitation session. You motivate, you bring, you build their spirits back to a sense of agency and sense of need to do something, sense of wanting to learn more, wanting to know more. What is coming next? I think I need to take part of this. It's just like a salesman, where you walk into a store and you are being welcomed by individuals to buy their products, right? How they're going to approach you is how you're going to react towards their approach. If the approach is good, you're gonna behave positively. If there's mood swings, that there's literally no smiling attitude is given onto you, you walk out of that store. You won't buy anything, because the contact person or the first approach or the first line individual is really not offering anything onto you except attitude. So you'll walk out. If you buy or you pick up something onto a store and there is a price tag, you say, how much is this? If the salesperson wants to sell, we'll say, actually, we have it on special. How do you want to buy it? You get it? So they will find a way on how to sell it to you. Why? Because they are giving you an approach, a way, a motivation, so that you can literally purchase. Even if you didn't have the money to purchase, you will say, I'll come back tomorrow. I must have this, right? So many ways on how to trap an individuals into buying something. That's the same way on facilitation. Sometimes we are given a group where people are not ready to have any learning given onto them. They are not ready. Most especially those of you who are conducting learnerships. Ne? Mr. Tebe, I believe you are doing learnerships. Am I right? In the learnership department that you are running, different types of learnerships, you may find that the group that you are facilitating to, they are literally there to collect the money, the stipend. That's it. The interest, the interest in learning is not there. You get what I'm saying? The interest is not there. So how are you going to motivate these individuals? Right? It means you must create a sense of need, that there's value in a program, and the value is going to take them to one point to another point. That involves motivation, and the only way to motivate is through speech. It means you're going to speak, you're going to prepare a way, you're going to prepare techniques, you're going to prepare the method on how you're going to approach them. You get how you approach them, it will make them have a sense of understanding and reasoning, and then they can be able to buy the ideas that you are giving onto them. That is all about sustaining a class, sustaining communication, and motivating the class or your group so that they can be able to understand the content that you are giving onto them, and then they can be able to use it for their advantage. Another part that we always look at, facilitation in sustaining communication. If you keep quiet during a facilitation session, every person in that class will also keep quiet. The same way I keep quiet. Nobody's talking. Why? I mean, your mics are not muted. You can unmute and talk, but why? Everybody's quiet. I've switched off. You get what I'm saying? Okay, when you switch off your communication mode, the same applies. It is like a law of attraction, right? What you say is what will happen. You get it? And what happens is what you have put into your mind to happen. Simple as that. Okay? It's the other way around as well. So if you keep quiet, the same applies. The learners will keep quiet. They will keep quiet and start to behave as if nothing is happening. They won't even remember that they are in a class. Everybody will switch off. So for you to awaken the students' abilities to think and be attentive throughout the entire period of the class, just like the same way everybody is glued up on a TV to wait who's going to be the next president, who's going to be the next president, who's going to be the deputy president. Okay, let us hear. How is the market behaving? We are being, you are putting everybody under suspense. That is facilitation. If you are able to do that, you are going to control and manage your class. Okay, you are going to control and manage your class. Facilitation works in that way. I'll request Mr. Wali, please mute your mic and also switch off your camera so that we don't have a disturbance on our side. Thank you so much. Okay, so when we move forward to understand our communicative function, we say you as a facilitator need to bring a sense of curiosity, right, and suspense. This keeps the students attentive until the end of your session. Until the end of your session, everybody will get to know that the class was awesome. Why? Because the way you have put it, the way you have structured the program is that it's not allowing individuals to become passive at any given time. There's no redundancy. There's no way everybody is switching off and keeping quiet. A facilitator, when you find yourself in that mode, it means you did not prepare. That's why we say the technique of preparation under the organization part must be taken very seriously. You need to organize yourself. You need to prepare for every single class. Whether you have been facilitating for 20 years, every class is different from the other one. They are not the same. I always keep on telling facilitators, you can say that, no, you are a facilitator for economics, right? You know economics inside out. Yes, you know the content yourself, but the group that you are going to approach is not the same group of yesterday. You understand? And the approaches towards learning are not the same. We all have different minds. Our minds are not the same. If your mind is very sharp, we can find some others that are taking things slow. All right, they want to get to understand it very step by step. So you have to accommodate those individuals one after the other. It's not like you're gonna drive very fast and people are gonna follow you. Some will jump out of the boat, say, hey, this thing is very difficult, I can't cope. Why would someone enroll to a program and at the same time drop out of the program? Simply because facilitation was not given and there's no carrying of this individual to finalize the program. So they'll feel like it is too much on their shoulder. They cannot cope. Remember, it's not only you. They have other worldly things that's occupying their minds. They have other activities. They have families, friends, life to carry on. All right. So being in your class is a privilege. It's not a must. Otherwise, they can walk out. And anybody who walks out of the class, it means you have no business, literally. We are facilitators, work like attorneys. If we have students, it means we have business because we're going to charge per session. Every class that we facilitate is how we get paid. You are charged, you're being paid based on the number of hours and the number of students that you have in a class. So if you are not going to have any class, who's going to pay you? Where are you going to get the money from? So if you are now effectively facilitate, means you need to sustain, and the more sustainable sessions that you conduct is the more the agency and the needs of individuals will want to be in your class. The more, once you keep on being able to sustain a given class, it means every individual will want to join your class. It means they're gonna go out there with the word of mouth and say, no, we need to take part of this class. We need to take part of this class. Why? Because you are able to hold the class together. So you need to look at the mode of facilitation. The communicative function is very key. Sustaining communication is very key, and also motivating learners during facilitation session is key, because you need to maintain that participation in class. If learners are not being facilitated, communicated to, talked to, addressed to, motivated, then there will be no active facilitation. And whenever there's no active facilitation, learning doesn't take place. Another concept on how do we sustain a class and sustain facilitation is surprising facts and concepts that excite interest, that provoke people to bring in comments. An example, you may say that this class, whoever attend this class and complete this class, is a ticket for them to get employment. You understand? Everybody who wants to get employed or want to get money, extra bucks into their pocket, they want to know, okay, tell me more. Okay, the ears will open up. Tell me more. Okay, it is music to my ears. Let me hear more. What is happening? You only spoke about one concept. Okay, if you want to make money tonight, today, please listen to this part. Everybody will say, okay, because you have brought in a suspense, concept, a suspense comment, something that sparks their, imaginations, and they start to imagine that they are in that sense of making that money. You get what I'm saying? All right. That's how we sustain. So you need to bring in those surprising facts. As you are building a lesson plan, don't only talk about content. Sometimes it is too much, it becomes monotonous, and anything that is too much, it becomes irrelevant. We know very much for sure. Anything that is too much becomes what? Irrelevant. People lose interest. You get what I'm saying? But if it is kept precisely, small information, but it is touching to the basics and also addressing the needs, people will want to know more about it. So how do I get to this one? How do I get to this one? How do I get? Why? Because you brought in a concept of agency to need more, to research more, to want more. You get what I'm saying? That is what we call sustaining facilitation through the communicative what? Function. Another part is when we sustain communication is through active recognitions of contributions. Active recognitions. Why I put the word active? Because there are some recognitions that will add value and there are some that will be disruptive. You must also note that not every contribution is going to be a positive contribution. Some will be criticisms, and there's no good information as criticism, right? Every criticism is good because it is building your ability to know more and also be able to be firm. So do not be worried when you are being criticized as a facilitator. It gives you an encouragement to go and research more and read more about a specific key on how are you going to approach that, because it becomes a problem. Anything that becomes a problem becomes a challenge onto you, and anything that becomes a challenge onto you now becomes work that you need to work upon it so that you can improve it. You get what I'm saying? I'll give scenarios there. Some of us here might not be active speakers, whereby communication is not our key strengths. We do not have that, part of speaking and being talkative and being able to talk about this, talk about that, talk about it. Why? Simply because we have not diversified our knowledge. We are not broadened our knowledge. A person who has broadened their knowledge, they'll have so much to speak about, simply because you want to know, so you have to familiarize yourself with so much information that whenever you get a chance to speak, you're able to dish up that information. You have to give out that information. You can give advice, you can give motivation because you have read about it. All the things that we're talking about, they are achievable if you yourself as a facilitator, you are willing to learn facilitation as a skill. Because facilitation is a skill. You can gain the skills to facilitate. That's why we are here in this program, to get this, not to get the certificate. I want to encourage people to not be here for just a certificate. A certificate is not what is our ultimate goal. Our ultimate goal is to be able to be dynamic, active facilitators, that when you stand in front of an audience, everybody will understand what you are talking about, and they will understand the concept that you are talking about, and they will go out there to apply that knowledge. That is what we call active what? Facilitation. So recognize individuals who are participating, more especially those who are active, right? More especially facilitators, we are found of only facilitating to the one that are surrounding us, the one that are close. Let's say you are in a normal class, so the names or individuals that are close to you are the one that you look upon to. Other facilitators, you only look at the sky, like okay, so tomorrow class, we're gonna be here 8 o'clock, but you are looking at the roof or at the sky, then you're not looking at people's eyes. You need to look at the face. Do not look into the eye directly. You look at the forehead. You get it? Forehead, you look at the forehead, because under the forehead, there will be an impression as if someone is looking at me. That is facilitation. It's a technique. So we shall look at the approaches and the presentation of content through active speech. It's one of our topics that we shall talk about, I think, on Thursday when we meet again, because tomorrow we are here for assessor, right? Tomorrow, same time, we are here for assessment course. So facilitation will continue again on Thursday. So we shall look at the key concepts on how to facilitate, right? And how to manage a class, how to talk to students, how to, whatever case might be, it's under the techniques of facilitation. So we shall look at it on Thursday. So the other part is recognition, whereby you acknowledge individuals and applaud them for their contributions, right? When someone give an advice, give a comment, raise up their hand, recognize them. Thank you so much for that. Even if the comment is not correct, because if you bring in a negative perception, it means individuals going to lose that esteem. That self-motivation is going to die, right? That power, the energy that is in them to answer is going to die away. Why? Because they have answered something wrong. And also it's going to be an embarrassment to the rest of the class, whereby even another one who would want to answer or ask a question or raise up their hand, they won't be able to participate. Why? They are afraid of your technique, because your technique is putting them down. It's like bullying. Facilitators will also bully, eh? Yeah, facilitators also bully students. That's why learning becomes difficult, because there are some students that are literally afraid of specific facilitators, educators, lecturers. Students is just not happy. They are afraid because of the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you approach, the way you present the content. Means it's either through instructive. And it's why we call instructive facilitation, is where an individual facilitator is instructing students to do something by fire, by force. It is not facilitation, that one. It's a command facilitation. We call it instructive facilitation. You are an instructor. An instructor. An instructor is someone who guides individuals, do this, turn left, turn right. That's in car. Driving of a car, yeah, you can do that. Because that's why we don't call them facilitators, we call them instructors, because they will instruct you to do an activity. In facilitation, we facilitate. It's a process of learning. It's a process of dialogue. So we must be able to dialogue. We do not instruct. If you find your class that they are naming you an instructor, that is not facilitation. You are in a wrong class. You're supposed to facilitate learning. Another last part is where you bring in what is called the group dynamics and the role play. The group dynamics, where you encourage individuals to work in a group. So the mode of sitting is always key, and the setup of a class is key to active facilitation. Okay, is key to active facilitation. We're gonna take up questions after this demonstration. I see there's a question from Elvis. We're gonna take up your question right now. Your hand is up. All right. So active facilitation involved group dynamics, whereby individual classes or a class has been arranged in such a way there will be active participation. When you put a class in like as if people are sitting in a bus, that implies that they are all looking up to you as the main source of information. So you are in the middle of the class, everybody is facing you. That is a classroom. That is teaching, right? You are teaching people information. So you become a teacher if you do such a setup of a class. That's why all classes in the normal standard learning environment, right, were organized in such a way that information is coming from one source. Okay, from one source. The teacher's desk is in front. There's even a shambok somewhere there, or there is paints and some charts on the wall. That is, so the teacher is in front and is facing the students. So he's talking and everybody is quiet. That is teaching. In facilitation, we don't do that. That's why we give out learner guides. right? A facilitator, one of the key resources we give out is a learner guide that we give out the learning materials even prior to the class, that learners become interactive and they're able to actually research more about whatever we're going to talk about. Even the content that we're going to give out, they already have it. So they are able to exercise their right as learners to ask questions and engage with you on key things that they might need more information. So you have to bring them together in terms of group dynamics and bring in role plays, activities that they have to engage in working with others that allows them to actively discuss, demonstrate, and apply knowledge from one another. Okay, so I'm gonna pause here for questions and answers. Please, now we're gonna it's open up for questions. If you've got any questions, please do so before we go into our last batch of a break. Please, any questions? Elvis, the floor is yours. Please ask your question. Okay, I don't hear anything. Elvis doesn't have any question. Anybody with a question, please? Anybody with a question, please? All right, your hand is up. Please, you can ask that question. Okay, you can also type the question into the in-call message, all right? You can type in your questions. Questions, please. A session for questions, please. If you've got any question, please ask your questions. If there's no question, we can move forward and have a water break for 2 minutes. And when we return, we are going to unpack the last bit of our tonight's session and then be able to go into questions and answers on how to attempt our workbook, right? Because at this moment, you'll be eligible to complete the workbook, right? After tonight's session, you'll be able to complete the workbook. Okay, we're going to pause for a water break. And then when we come back after 2 minutes only, we are going to move forward to understand the dynamics of facilitation. Thank you so much and see you in the next 2 minutes. Okay, welcome back to the last quarter of our session. This one is very straightforward. Okay, there are certain concepts that you need to go and research more. I want you to go and read more about the communicative functions, right? Read more about the communicative functions. Under the communicative functions, please, under the learner guide, you'll find there will be functions that are related to setting of your classes, understanding the dynamics, selecting the venues and all that. So that one you need to go and read more about it. Okay. I want you to go and read more about it. But tonight, I want us to look at one of two things that we're going to demonstrate here. At the end of this session, you will be able literally to be able to attempt your formative assessment, or what is called the workbook, okay, and attempt some of the questions that have been provided into the POE, the portfolio of evidence. And one of the questions will be, I think it's activity number 5, if I'm not mistaken, where they say list down the 10 principles of facilitation. So these are some of the principles, but I want to quickly elaborate more and expand some of these principles for a better understanding and how they are important into our facilitation. One of the key, these principles means these are guidelines, things that we must work with. These are keys. They allow us to facilitate effectively. Effective facilitation can only work if you have if you are abiding with the principles and you are following the principles of facilitation. All right. Please meditate on these ones, read more, master them, take one after the other, and try to adopt them into your facilitation methodologies. Okay, anyway you have a facilitation tool, try to integrate some of these ones because they are key. One is managing attention. Your facilitation communication activity or your functionality as a facilitator, there's no way you are going to manage a class or a group when you have not managed attention. Together, né? Attention is key. How do you manage attention? Like we say, some of the things that we have discussed previously in the second quarter is that, I mean, in the third quarter, is that we said you need to know how to bring in the curiosity mode. A curiosity mode is when you bring a facilitation method that allows individuals to pay attention and start to think of what is coming next. Right? You are paving ways for them to think out loud and say, what might be next? I think I must follow up the next session. Simply because you have created a need for them to be part of that learning program. So managing attention is one key on how we need to facilitate learning. The group that is not manageable, you can never facilitate to it because they're going to be riots. As you are busy facilitating, if it's a group of individuals, they're going to be talking to one another other on their phones. They are busy with their whatever. So there's disruption. There's no concentration. Whenever there's no concentration, learning will never take place. So as a facilitator, the first thing that you need to master is to master attention, that there's attentiveness in class. Even those that are passive, even those that are sleeping. Why people do not sleep in class? Because the class is boring. Their mind is tired. The mind is not up to that class. The mindset has been removed not to be in that very class. They might be thinking of something else. That's why they are not attentive. So the attentiveness is not only that people are sleeping in class and then they are not paying attention onto you, or they are busy with their phone. The class is boring. Simple as that. If you are boring as a facilitator, nobody want to be in that class. They're just waiting for the bell to ring or the time to be saying, okay, the class is done, and everybody will dispatch and leave. You understand? Sometimes they are there, they are compelled to be in that class. They are not there because they want to. They are compelled. And most cases, when we go into subsidized facilitation, where learners have been paid for, fees have been paid for by an individual or by government or by an entity, then that learning is going to be very challenging if you do not manage attention. If you don't plan well, the people who attend to those classes, literally they are there because their managers told them they must attend that class, whether they like it or not. So they've been booked off to be in that class. So sometimes they will come and be on their phones. They take up their phone and start to press the phone, look down. They're not paying any attention. The first thing as a facilitator that we do is say a facilitator must be able to manage attention. You must be able to create attentiveness in class. The focus must be on learning, not on you. Remember, focus is not on you. If you're gonna focus on you, people will start to read how you don't shave, if I'm a male like myself, how you didn't brush your teeth, how your hair is disgusting. They will even look at the wrinkles that you have. So they will pay attention to your looks. If you are wearing a shirt that is not ironed, they say, hey, but this man here, even the shirt is not ironed. They look at the lines that you have folded it and then you just put it on. If you have got cockroaches in your house and one, it happened that a cockroach comes out on your shoulder, hey, that one, they're going to give you a name. I'm telling you. They are going to give you a name. So attention must not be on you. I'm telling you, attention must be on learning. You get it what I'm saying? So that's what happens. So make sure that even if there you are creating attention, it's not based on you. That's why we say there's what we call facilitation grooming. It's one of our topics that will come on Thursday. Facilitation grooming, it means you, as you prepare for your classes, also you prepare yourself, right? If you are dressing, the dress code must be speaking in tongues. It must be speaking exactly the language that you're going to speak in class. You cannot go there and start to speak all this nice stuff, but your appearance and your presentation doesn't say otherwise. It's saying another thing. You get what I'm saying? So you don't need to be named, because we know as we facilitators, hey, we receive different names, right? Names will be always given onto us because of the way we carry ourselves and present ourselves. So attention must not be on us, but attention is based onto learning. Remember, it's all about the learning program that we have to focus and give out to the learners or the participants. Number two, managing energy. Hey, this one is very key, guys. We need to be able to manage, and because remember, you are sitting with a bunch of so many students coming from different backgrounds. Everybody has got their own ideologies and understanding. They are not the same people. They don't have the same mindset. Everybody has got their own understanding. So we say how you manage individuals in a group, we call it the group dynamics, is key. Because if you might be facilitating to a group, let's say facilitation course is the NKF level 5, but you might have individuals who have got NKF level 2, but because they want to learn how to facilitate that level 2, you are compelled to teach them, but their level of understanding is still at a lower level. So you need to carry them along. If you're going to put yourself up here and the learners that you are facilitating are below the levels of the program, it's going to be a challenge. Do you hear me? It's going to be a challenge. So you need to manage the flow of energy for those that are passive participants to the active participants. You need to manage. Learners, some of them, because they are resistant to learning, they will create chaos in a class, disruptions, or ask funny questions, or try to intimidate others, simply because learning on their side is not, it's not what they are looking for. You get what I'm saying? So it will always have, you'll have to manage this class dynamics simply because people are coming from different backgrounds. People have got different issues. So how you manage it is key and goes into effective planning. If your planning is not correct, because when we plan, what do we say? We plan based on the group. Hence, every facilitator, you need to know the group of learners you are going to facilitate onto. The target group, you need to have attendance register. Attendance register is key because you'll know the list of individuals. There will be a class list. A class list allows you to know individuals by their names, at the same time know their background, because as a facilitator, the first thing that we receive is the class list, that this is the list of students in your class. Some will be attending, some won't be attending. Anyway, whoever attends, you have them on your class. So it means you have interrogated the type of individuals who have attended, who are coming onto your class. You get what I'm saying? So you as a facilitator, you need to go deeper before you teach, before you facilitate. Get to know the type of individual, group individuals, people, participants who are coming to your session. What type of people are these? At which level are you going to pitch your facilitation? At which level it would be? The language, which language are you going to use? The mode of language you're going to use. Are you going to use English? Are you going to use local language? Are you going to use Zulu? It depends on the group that you are facilitating to. You cannot go to Namakwa land and expect to speak Sipedi. They won't understand you. They are not Pedi speaking people there. Do you get what I'm saying? So you need to adjust to the language that will befit and benefit them better. If you go to KwaZulu-Natal, Durban, or anywhere, Pongolo, and you want to speak Siswana, everybody will look at you and say, okay. You get it? If you go to Western Cape and go to a community where they are only speaking Afrikaans and you're a facilitator, remember, it doesn't matter which group are you facilitating to, but you need to understand the group dynamics, the language, the behavior, the group, the backgrounds, the environment where they are, all contribute to your effective facilitation. If you go to a group where there are riots every day, there is riots, uprising, and toy-toying, facilitation is going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. Otherwise, you're going to carry out your facilitation from the classroom to a street. As they are toy-toying, you're also facilitating along with them, right? Yeah, facilitation, toy-toying. So it's the same, right? So that is also another part. Another part in under the principles of facilitation, we say we're always creating safety in a group, attending to pace, managing conflict, and overcoming resistance. So here, what happens that you as a facilitator, make sure that the class that you are in, the group that you are in, everybody is at peace with one another. Right? That works so much when you are facilitating to different dynamical group and maybe social, with people with social differences, and group dynamics happens whereby you have got different individuals with different backgrounds. Right? There will be always conflict when you bring in a specific topic that is actually pointing one group to another. It's going to create a conflict. You spark a conflict from nowhere because you have addressed a social context. You might say this group doesn't perform better, we do better. You get what I'm saying? Then automatically you're starting to create uncomfortability amongst the individuals who are participating. So you need to bring in a sense of where everybody is at peace. Safety is key in your facilitation. You don't want to be there where people are throwing books to one another because they are not happy of what the comments that they have raised. You don't want to be part of that class. Conflict management is what you need to key in as one of your tool to use when you're facilitating. Always, you need to be able to pour water where fire is starting. You always sense it. You will see fire starting somewhere, smoke will spark. If you don't put it out, that class is more likely to fail. That day you won't facilitate. Okay? Because you can't handle the situation. It is so easy to disrupt a class, very easily, just by utterance of our words. You just utter words where people are not uttering words that are not profound. And what happens? It provokes others' minds, and then it starts to create sense of conflicts amongst each other. Then individuals will not participate in that learning. You get what I'm saying? So safety is key. As we wrap up to the last part, we need to also to look at the other concept of managing information. Here, we need to know how to manage information. Language is key, like I was saying. Language is key if you are going to Limpopo to facilitate in Limpopo, you need to bear in mind the main language used in Limpopo. When you are doing specific demonstration, they might not necessarily understand you. Why? Because of the language that is being utilized, the background of individuals. Not everything is facilitated in English. We know facilitators, let's say the mode of facilitation might be English, but the participants to receive that communication might not sync because you are using a language that is not familiar unto them. You get what I'm saying? So, facilitator, let us try to find a way on how to communicate and diversify in our language, our communication ways and methodologies. Try to learn as multiple languages as possible. Be multilingual. Learn 1 or 2, 3 languages. Don't be only static to one language. Try to integrate others. If I walk into a class and it's full of different background or individuals with different cultures, we call it cultural diversity, part of facilitation, whereby you need to embrace every individual. If I find the songers, I'll greet them. I'll greet in different ways, right? Even if it's a broken language, but I am trying. Do you get what I'm saying? You are trying, and people will try to say, okay, wow, he's trying. Or you are creating that sense of need. Okay, I think I like him. He's facilitating very well. He's trying. That's what happens, right? It's for the learning purposes. It's not for people to like you. It's for learning purposes. Why? Because you need to pass on the information in the real sense. So try to manage information and language. Managing operations. Here, if you did not plan very well, I'm telling you, planning is key. Operation involves logistics. If you have set up a class and the class is going to be at 8 o'clock, make sure it is 8 o'clock. Why? Because when individuals pop up at 8 and you only show up at 9, the class will not take place. I'm telling you why. By the time they enter that class, they're already fed up, they're frustrated. Some of them might have sacrificed that time to be in that very class. But because of that time that you have allocated and you didn't show up, it's already causing individuals to be resentment. They're going to pull back. They're not going to admit that indeed there were issues, maybe you had challenges. They won't listen to all that. They say, but no, what if we should have been communicated to this thing, why? Already the attention, the energy, all will be drawn away automatically. So manage your logistics very well. Learning material. Make sure learners have got materials, right? You cannot go to a class when there's no material. Try to prepare something and that you'll give out. People need to receive something. Like, I'm going to give you an example. You see, we are here in this class right now, right? And the class is online. And this online class has been given to us with learning materials that is put online, resources is put online. We've got the internet, we've got this presentation, and we've got even a live class. We're putting up a live class that individuals can come. But also, people want to have something to receive. A book. And I have the material. Oh, but I didn't have the material. But they are in class. So there must be that buying things, to receive something. To receive something. I've got one of my pastors, when we go to church, he always say, even if people go there and pray, they want to receive something at the end of the prayer. Receive something. That is the environment that we are in. Simple as that. So if you do not manage your logistics in terms of preparation, setup, schedules, materials, there are going to be issues, right? They're going to be issues. As we sum up to the last part, also, the other part is to understand the facilitation techniques. We're going to unpack this part on Thursday to understand more of the facilitation techniques, where you must be able to facilitate learning using a variety of given methodologies. The directive of leadership, we're going to discuss about it, and also a facilitator and facilitating group dynamics with different activities. That is one of our things that we're going to be looking at on Thursday. So don't miss out on that class on Thursday. This class that is coming up, Understanding Facilitation. Here we're going to be unpacking techniques. How do you finalize, literally facilitate to a group? What techniques and methods can you adopt for a given group of facilitation? And also looking at the topics and subjects and content, the specific subjects that we know. If I hear a topic which says apply, then I know all my facilitation is going to be practically made, and a practical facilitation is going to be presentation and presentation. If I hear demonstrate and understanding, it means that is knowledge. People must be prepared to write down. That means you're going to dish out knowledge. If you hear identify, then that is all about analytical facilitation. So it means people must be able to analyze. To identify, you must be able to analyze. So those are some of the techniques that we're going to talk about Thursday. It's going to be awesome. Please don't miss out this class on Thursday, because I'm going to unpack things that I've never unpacked to any other class before. In fact, this class is blessed class because other classes have been facilitated by other facilitators, but myself as a program designer and a developer of facilitation and a subject matter expert in education and training development practices, I'm happy to be your facilitator. And look out for the next class in facilitation. Do not miss out this class. Those of you who still need to take part into our ODETP, that is Education and Training Development Practices, the program is still running at a discounted rate. The RPL session is still on. Please take this opportunity and enroll for RPL. If you have enrolled for facilitator, assessor, and moderator, take this as an opportunity to enroll for the OD and be exempted from repeating all these unit standards of outcome-based assessment and all that, and then get those credits, be accumulative of the credits in ODETP that received a full qualification at NQF level 5, and also we have a full qualification at NQF level 6. Discounted amount. Do not miss this opportunity. Take your facilitation forward by acquiring a full national certificate rather than these skills programs. Thank you, and see you next Thursday. For those of you who are doing Facilitator, please catch me tomorrow, same time, 7:30. I'll be right here, and I'll be here to support you and give you support in your learning endeavors. Otherwise, those of you who are still outstanding fees, please do not forget, make it honorable and pay that money. We need it. And thank you. Good night. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Shalom.